Maybe you like cooking. Maybe you don't. Either way, the new Blue Apron is for you. Because along with our classic meal kits, we're offering new pre-made and one-pan meals to help you get dinner on the table fast. And now there's no subscription needed, so you can just order and enjoy. Do delicious food your way. Shop 100+ meals at blueapron.com. Get 50% off your first 2 orders with code APRON50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hi, this is Knox from the podcast with Knox and Jamie. What are you reaching for? If you're a smoker or a vapor, you're reaching for nicotine satisfaction and all the problems that come with smoking or vaping, but you could be reaching for Zyn nicotine pouches. Let's talk about what Zyn helps you reach for. First, it helps with variety, 10 flavored and unflavored Zyn varieties in either 3 milligram or 6 milligram strengths. And also, because Zyn is smoke-free, you don't have to think about lingering smells or clunky devices. Whatever you're reaching for, reach for it with America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Find your Zyn at zyn.com. That's ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
If you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, Grainger knows that you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you're confident you'll soon have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here at Blue Apron, we know exactly how hectic school nights can be. That's why we created Assemble and Bake. Delicious one-pan meals that make family dinner simple. Just assemble the pre-chopped ingredients and put the pan in the oven to bake. Then you're free to help out with that last-minute diorama. Shop Assemble and Bake at blueapron.com. Get 50% off your first 2 orders with code APRON50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Imagine being the wizard of your home. With Xfinity Wi-Fi, you can boostify speeds for the moments that count and magically pause Wi-Fi to any device. And now you can cast a spell to stop time and keep your internet bill the same for 5 years with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Equipment included, no contracts or commitments. Xfinity, imagine that. And see Wicked for Good, only in theaters November 21st. Restrictions apply, select plans only.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods After Dark. We are going to take a deep dive into Colombian witchcraft in this episode. Are you ready for the story? In Colombian folklore, echoing traditions across Latin America, a bruja isn't just a herbal healer. She's thought to have sealed a pact with the devil to gain supernatural powers. The classic European crone image does exist, but Colombians also describe witches in 2 very different ways. Some as haggard old women, dishevelled, ugly, with wild laughter, and others as alluring young women with nervous smiles. In the Eastern Plains, for example, the Bruja Llanera is envisioned as a beautiful woman who flies naked at night and even serves as a part of the devil's harem. By contrast, in other regions, they might appear as wizened grandmothers by day. What all forms of the Bruja share is their astuteness and malice. They are said to fly by night, often riding a broomstick, or transforming into an animal to travel under cover of darkness. A hallmark of Latin American witch lore is shapeshifting. Witches are believed to turn into animals, especially large black birds. In fact, in parts of Colombia, people claim witches become giant winged creatures known as piscas, a type of harpy or wild bird that swoop onto roofs and trees. Their passing is marked by the rush of wind, the thunderous flapping of enormous wings, and sometimes a cackling laugh echoing through the night. Some say witches can even become small animals like cats or bats to slip into homes. A particularly frightening detail from old Caribbean legends is that witches strip off their human skin and hide it in a clay jar before flying out. "Sin Dios ni Maria," they exclaim as they take off. This makes them nearly invulnerable during their nocturnal escapades. Their human body lies safeguarded. One tale claims a demon guards the vacant body, while their spirit or transformed shape wreaks havoc. It's no wonder that in some villages, mothers used to name baby girls Maria, believing that a woman named after the Virgin could never fly out as a witch due to the holy name. Colombian witches are often imagined meeting up in desolate places to practice dark rites. Folklore from the plains describes how locals could spy on witches' sabbaths, known as aquelarres, if they were very careful. Witches dancing with the devil in open clearings or remote hilltops, feasting on gruesome offerings. These gatherings, sometimes called Peladeros de las Brujas, witches' flats, were said to be full of wild revelry, profane dances, blasphemous chants, and macabre feasts under the moonlight. In Huila, there is even a place known as El Aeropuerto de las Brujas, the witches' airstrip, a hill called Las Pinos, where, according to legend, witches in bird form would land and congregate. Villagers still avoid that spot at night, claiming that if you wander too close, you might hear disembodied laughter on the wind and see the treetops swaying with no apparent cause. Traditional tales attribute all sorts of calamities with brujas. They are blamed for souring marriages and relationships, inflicting illness, causing bouts of bad luck and insomnia, and even killing livestock or crops. A witch's jealousy or malice, it's said, can make a person waste away with sickness that no doctor can explain. In rural Colombia, an unmarried man who lives alone might fear he's inviting a witch's attention. There's an old saying that if a bachelor sweeps his house at night, he's sweeping for a wife, essentially signalling to witches that a woman is needed in his home, and a witch just might oblige by visiting. Witches also have a mischievous side. Many stories claim they sneak into stables to braid horses' manes and tails into tight, elaborate plaits overnight. They'll do the same to human hair. Young women sometimes wake up to find mysterious braids in their hair that weren't there before. While some regions ascribe such pranks to duendes, goblins, in Colombian lore, it's often the work of a bored bruja passing through. These braids serve no clear purpose except to instill fear, a signature of the witch's need to terrorize and exert power. Folklore endows witches with uncanny powers and also quirks. One fascinating belief is that witches have a kind of magical resilience. If you strike a witch, an even number of blows will completely heal her, but an odd number of blows will injure her. In other words, of the blows dealt to witches, the first one harms and the second one heals. Thus, anyone attacking a bruja must hit 1, 3, 5 times to actually subdue her, lest an even-numbered strike undo all the damage. This motif appears in Spanish and Basque folklore as well, and Colombian campesinos have embraced it in their witch legends. Another strange quirk: witches are said to be compulsive counters. Scatter a heap of salt or seeds on the floor, and a witch who sneaks in will feel forced to stop and count every grain, potentially keeping her busy until the sun rises, at which point she must flee, as the legend goes. In a similar vein, if you leave out a bundle of needles and thread, a witch might obsessively attempt to thread them all night. These beliefs reflect the idea that even malevolent spirits have rules and compulsions that clever humans can exploit. Faced with such terrifying nightly visitors, Colombian folk culture developed many protective measures and tricks to ward off or expose witches. These remedies are often shared by grandparents and local shamans. Here are some of the most notable ones. Faith is a common shield. People hang escapularios, scapular religious medallions, above beds, or wear them around their necks, believing it repels brujas. Sprinkling holy water in the corners of a house or praying aloud can also keep evil at bay. It's said that a house blessed with prayers and baptized children is less vulnerable. In many Latin American tales, a witch cannot harm a baptized baby. They will sometimes vomit up any witch's poison they might taste. Many families will also burn incense or rue and other herbs to cleanse the space of negative energy. Folk wisdom advises some surprisingly practical tricks. One is to leave a broom upside down behind the door or by the entryway. Witches supposedly cannot leave a house if they see an inverted broom. It roots them to the spot. In Panama, a similar idea is that if you manage to invite a witch in for coffee, placing a broom upside down will prevent her from departing at dawn. Another practice is drawing chalk crosses on the floor and doorposts, or even in the ashes of the earth, which witches dread crossing. And as mentioned, sprinkling salt, mustard seeds, or sesame around the house or on the roof is common. Many believe that when a witch, especially one who has shed her skin, touches salt or mustard, it will immobilize her or cause painful burns. In the Quili region, residents still throw granos de mostaza, mustard seeds, on their rooftops to prevent witches in bird form from landing there. Men who fear nocturnal attacks have their own talismans. One unusual custom in parts of Colombia is for men to wear their underwear inside out when they sleep, as a deterrent against witches looking to molest them. Carrying a clove of garlic or a bit of sharp metal, like scissors or a knife, in your pocket is also said to ward off malevolent spirits. Newborn babies are often given a red or black bracelet with an azabach, jet or black stone, to protect against the evil eye and witchcraft. And if you suspect a witch is near, you might want to keep a prayer on your lips. Colombians in some regions utter a phrase like, Hoy sábado, Dia de la Virgen, que las brujas no nos oigan. This Saturday, Virgin's Day, may the witches not hear us, as a sort of charm when darkness falls. Perhaps the most famous trick is the one used to identify who the witch is. Folklore across Colombia and Latin America generally says that if a witch is prowling outside your house, perhaps cackling on the roof or scratching at the door, you should boldly challenge her by shouting, "Mañana vienes por sal," come back tomorrow for salt. This phrase, oddly specific, is believed to break the witch's power in the moment. Many stories report that the instant these words are uttered, the witch, in whatever animal or shadowy form, immediately flees or falls off the roof. Crucially, according to the legend, the next morning a suspicious woman from the community will show up at your door asking to borrow a bit of salt. That woman, presumably, was the witch haunting you the night before, now revealed in daylight. In La Jaguar, elders insist that using the salt phrase is the surest way to unmask a witch among your neighbours. Similar folk tales in the Dominican Republic recount that if you shout an invitation for salt at a witch on your roof, some known lady from the area will come for salt the next day, confirming her identity. Once identified, a witch can sometimes be confronted or bargained with. There is an interesting belief, shared in the Colombian oral stories, that a witch cannot break a promise once she gives her word. If a witch is injured by someone and caught, she might promise never to bother that person's household again, in exchange for that final even-numbered blow to heal her wound. And by the old accounts, a Bruja will keep such a promise if given, bound by a supernatural oath. Folklore aside, stories of real-life encounters with witches continue to circulate in Colombia. These accounts are part of the living culture, often shared on internet forums, passed along by family members, or even reported in local news. Let's look at a few hair-raising examples. Perhaps one of the most famous modern encounters comes from La Jaguar, Huila, known nationally as El Pueblo de las Brujas, the witches' town. In October 2021, a security guard named Edwin, a night watchman in La Jaguar, recounted a terrifying ordeal to journalists. He was making his rounds at around 3 a.m. when something rushed up behind him in the corridor and grabbed him by the throat. It had immense strength, he said, and he struggled as it began to choke him. In the struggle, his hands felt what seemed like a small gnarled hand with long fingernails wrapped around his neck. That's when he knew it was a Bruja attacking. Despite panicking as he gasped for air, Edwin remembered the old phrase his grandparents had taught him. With the last bit of breath he could muster, he managed to shout, "Mañana viene por sal." Instantly, the pressure on his neck vanished. He spun around and whatever entity had been there was gone. The witch left him, but not without a parting mark. In the mirror, Edwin could see dark bruises and claw-like finger marks on his neck, proof of how real the encounter had been. Many locals believed his story. After all, nearly everyone in La Jaguar accepts that witches are real. Though a few skeptics argued that a real witch wouldn't have let him off so easily. The attack reinforced the community's awareness. Witches are listening, and you must always be ready with the old wards. Notably, several men in La Jaguar also claimed that witches had seduced or molested them, as many had woken up with unexplained love bites on their necks, and their shirts or trousers mysteriously undone after a night of witch activity. Another account from the Antioquia region of the soldier who fell victim to a witch's spell. While on patrol in a remote mountain town, the young soldier met an unusually kind older woman living alone at the edge of the village. She doted on him, bringing him food and drink whenever his unit passed by. She often flattered him, saying what a handsome young man he was. At first it seemed like harmless hospitality, but soon the soldier's comrades noticed he was behaving oddly. Over a matter of days, he grew deathly pale and lost a shocking amount of weight, as if something was draining the life out of him. Even more alarming, he became obsessed with the old woman. He spoke of her constantly and seemed entranced, forgetting he had a wife and child back home. The official military doctors could find no illness. Off the record, his superiors suspected brujeria, witchcraft. The platoon's corporal took the ailing man to a local indigenous shaman. According to the story, the healer immediately recognized the symptoms of a love spell. The woman was allegedly a bruja who fancied the soldier and had given him bewitched food. The shaman performed an intense cleansing ritual and gave the soldier herbal brews to break the bruja's hold. Remarkably, the young man recovered over the next week, regaining his strength and senses. But the story doesn't end there. A vengeful witch is not one to be scorned. A few nights later, as the unit camped at an isolated farm, all hell broke loose. Objects flew off shelves, barracks doors slammed on their own, and a terrible screeching sound echoed on the roof, like something heavy dragging itself, or perhaps bouncing a large ball up there. A detail oddly reminiscent of other Antigua tales of witches playing on rooftops. The soldiers even saw a black shadow darting among the trees at impossible speed. One man swore it was a featureless void of darkness in the shape of a person. Panicked, another opened fire at the silhouette, but it absorbed the bullets without harm, disappearing into the night. The men believed firmly that the old witch had sent some demon or come herself in spirit form to harass them for taking away her prize. For nights afterwards, the camp remained on edge, and some soldiers started wearing crosses and even sleeping with blessed bullets, special rounds prayed over by a priest in their rifles. This might sound extreme, but during Colombia's long-armed conflict, many fighters on all sides held similar beliefs that witchcraft could grant invulnerability. Some reports from the late 90s claim that guerrilla and paramilitary fighters in certain regions use shamans to perform rituals, making them bulletproof. And some notorious commanders were rumoured to have a pact with the devil that stopped the bullets. To the frightened soldiers, this witch was very real, and only faith and ritual kept her malice at bay. Not all witch encounters in Colombia involve a cackling woman or an old crone. Some are downright surreal. A woman from Cundinamarca tells a story from her childhood in the 1960s, when she and her sister encountered a small, gnome-like man in their family's orchard. One late afternoon, as the sun set, 7-year-old Marta wandered near the fruit trees when she saw a tiny old man with a broad-brimmed hat sitting atop the stone wall. He had a mischievous grin and called out to her in a raspy voice, praising her. "Quenina tan bonita, ven acá. What a pretty girl, come here." Marta froze. She had grown up hearing warnings about the duendes, goblin-like imps, and witches luring children. Terrified, she screamed for her parents, and the little man vanished into the dusk. The next morning brought an even stranger discovery. Marta's older sister, who had been sleeping in that house with her, A wait to find her long hair had been braided into dozens of tiny, tight braids overnight. The two girls burst into tears, convinced that a witch, or duende, had played with them as they slept. Their grandparents wasted no time. They brought a local priest to bless the house, and a folk healer to perform a cleansing. The braids were carefully untangled while prayers were recited. After those rites, the family was not bothered again. To this day, the sisters recall the incident with a shudder. Folklorists might note that in many cultures, mysterious braiding of hair is attributed to playful fairies or goblins. For instance, European elf locks, or even stories of Bigfoot braiding horse manes in North America. In the Colombian countryside, it all ties back to the brujeria. Not all witchcraft tales involve midnight prowlers. Some are about brujos, witch practitioners, hired to cast spells on enemies or rivals. In Colombian culture, brujeria is the hidden side of interpersonal conflicts, an open secret. People might not talk openly about it, but many secretly believe or fear that others could be using spells against them. Tales abound of finding a buried packet on your property containing hair, fingernails, photos, and foul substances. A sure sign that someone tried to curse the household. A Colombian might visit a curandero, healer, or a santero if they suddenly fall ill, suspecting an evil spell. Dove spells, known as amarres, bindings, are especially popular and infamous. There are legends of happily married men and women who abruptly abandon their families to run obsessively after someone else. Indeed, some amor brujo stories are tragically poetic in Colombia. One common type of amarre involves using the target's personal items, like hair or clothing, and a ritual to St. Anthony or a dark entity to tie the person's heart to the client. While many practitioners advertising these services are charlatans, once in a while, a case surfaces that convinces even skeptics that something unnatural is afoot. For example, a well-known incident in Bucaramanga in the 2000s involved a woman who was caught with a stash of strange dolls and photos of her ex-partner's new girlfriend, stuck with pins and hidden in a graveyard, apparently attempting to make the rival ill. Gossip columns and local news occasionally report on such cases, and even police have been involved when black magic verges into fraud or harassment. The evil eye is another widespread belief. Colombian mothers guard infants from envious gazes, fearing a curse that could only be lifted by a traditional healer. In short, witchcraft in Colombia isn't just old legends. It's part of modern life, from rural hamlets to big cities. There's an undercurrent of the supernatural that people turn to in times of love, anger, or desperation.
Imagine being the wizard of your home. With Xfinity Wi-Fi, you can boostify speeds for the moments that count and magically pause Wi-Fi to any device. And now you can cast a spell to stop time and keep your internet bill the same for 5 years with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Equipment included, no contracts or commitments. Xfinity, imagine that. And see Wicked for Good, only in theaters November 21st. Restrictions apply, select plans only.
Hi, this is Knox from the podcast with Knox and Jamie. What are you reaching for? If you're a smoker or a vapor, you're reaching for nicotine satisfaction and all the problems that come with smoking or vaping, but you could be reaching for Zyn nicotine pouches. Let's talk about what Zyn helps you reach for. First, it helps with variety, 10 flavored and unflavored Zyn varieties in either 3 milligram or 6 milligram strengths. And also, because Zyn is smoke-free, you don't have to think about lingering smells or clunky devices. Whatever you're reaching for, reach for it with America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Find your Zyn at zyn.com. That's ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
This just wants me to get loads of glass jars full of things like pulses, rice, so that I can scatter it around the house whenever I'm freaking out, when I'm here on my own. Because that happens quite often, in all honesty. Not that I'm on my own at home that often. I try to. I really try. Aren't you going out tonight? Aren't you staying at your girlfriend? But when I do, I end up listening to podcasts and I really do freak myself out. So I need to have jars and jars of rice everywhere, just so that one is handy just in case. I did it actually the other night. I watched some of Welcome to Derry and then Rog went home and I was like, I'm not sure this was a good idea. I do love it, but I'm running to the toilet really quickly. And I've always had this thing that if the light bulb, if I let it go really hard and it doesn't bang against the wall, that means that a ghost has grabbed it. And it's just this little thing that I've done since I was a kid. What a weirdo. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Imagine being the wizard of your home. With Xfinity Wi-Fi, you can boostify speeds for the moments that count and magically pause Wi-Fi to any device. And now you can cast a spell to stop time and keep your internet bill the same for 5 years with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Equipment included, no contracts or commitments. Xfinity, imagine that. And see Wicked for Good, only in theaters November 21st. Restrictions apply, select plans only.
Hi, this is Knox from the podcast with Knox and Jamie. What are you reaching for? If you're a smoker or a vapor, you're reaching for nicotine satisfaction and all the problems that come with smoking or vaping, but you could be reaching for Zyn nicotine pouches. Let's talk about what Zyn helps you reach for. First, it helps with variety, 10 flavored and unflavored Zyn varieties in either 3 milligram or 6 milligram strengths. And also, because Zyn is smoke-free, you don't have to think about lingering smells or clunky devices. Whatever you're reaching for, reach for it with America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Find your Zyn at zyn.com. That's ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at EmpowerOurFutureCoalition.com.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.